5 seconds. Start. Sir, the other day, supporting the resolution, I was pointing out the alarming tendency, especially in the industrial sector, to cut the number of women employed in each category of job. I also submitted that the basic reason for this downfall in the employment of women, especially in the industrial sector, is the growing number of beneficial labor legislations. You will find, especially after the Maternity Benefits Act was passed, in the plantations and many other industrial sectors, deliberately, there is an avoidance of employment of women. The resolution has been tabled in order to bring to the attention of the government the immediate necessity of taking some sort of urgent action to see that this sort of discrimination in the employment of women does not continue. As far as the actual employment position is concerned, from 1950 onwards, it has not been possible to collect information. Neither the government has done it. How far exactly the number of women employed in the industrial sector has gone up, or how far in the new employment potential to keep up the proportion of past women have been employed. I will be able to point out only certain glaring instances where both in the commercial employment side and also in the industrial side there has been a deliberate refusal on the part of employers to employ women, or a desire to get rid of the women already employed. I would call the attention of the Honorable Labour Minister to the speech made by the West Bengal Labour Minister on 19th June 1958, taking note of the alarming situation of the number of women employed, especially in the jute industry, rapidly coming down. The Labour Minister of West Bengal at that time promised the legislature to take immediate and swift action as far as this cutting of the employment potential of women in the jute sector was concerned. But even after that assurance was given by the Labour Minister of West Bengal, we find that a large number of women who were employed in the various sectors of the jute industry are being retrenched just because they are women laborers. When we analyze the question whether the retrenchment of this labor in the jute industry is just because there is need for any retrenchment of labor, we find that it is not a question of retrenchment, pure and simple. After retrenchment, a large number of women workers in a particular department of The jute mills, what happens is a large number of casual laborers are employed there instead of these women workers. Therefore, we find that in the jute industry, where from the very beginning women were employed to do particular categories of job, now women are being sent away and instead of them, men are employed. Then, coming to textiles, especially in the Coimbatore area, where women are employed in the reeling department, what the employer does is he recruits casual men labor and asks the women labor trained in reeling works to train the men workers, and immediately they are trained under some excuse or other. These women workers are retrenched. In the case of the new textile mills that are opening, what they are doing is because in the textile industry, they are able to get a large number of trained women workers. They employ women casual labor and also employ men workers simultaneously and get these men workers trained by the women workers who are already trained and who are already retrenched. Immediately, the men are trained by the already trained women workers. The women workers are sent away just because they are casual labor, and the men workers are permanent. This is the situation in the textile mills. In the plantations too, from time immemorial, when the plantation started, you find a large number of women workers are employed in them. In every plantation, women used to do particular categories of work all the time. It is noteworthy that in the plantations, when men workers are recruited, their wives also work in the plantations. The family does the work in the plantations. What happens is, even for certain types of work in which women used to be employed, the employers are refusing to employ women. These are things directly done by the employers to see that the number of women workers who are at present employed is reduced and not to employ more women workers at all. As a consequence, you find a very steep reduction in the ratio of women workers employed already in the country and non-recruitment of women workers in the new units that are coming up, especially in the textile sector. There is another way in which the employer tries to put a new check in the way of employment of women labor in the commercial establishments and certain semi-governmental institutions.